Hello, Wahconah students and families. Welcome back to our second video about a hybrid return on October 5th. In this particular video, we're going to talk about all of the different sorts of transitions we're going to have to make within the building, all of the different spaces that we're using quite differently, including the space behind me. It's important to remember that the state has us working within a great deal of strict guidance when it comes to COVID restrictions. Their health and safety is the most important thing when we are in the building. So what we're going to do is show you how we've made changes to maintain health and safety for both our staff and our students. In this particular area, this is a lobby. You will notice 6 desks and chairs behind me. This is going to be a holding area for any student who has some sort of appointment or if they need to see some sort of staff member. So for instance, if you need to see Mr. Messina, Mr. Shannon, a guidance counselor, if you need to see anybody in the main office, you're going to make an appointment with them, which we will explain how to do a little bit later on, and you're going to end up right down here. You're going to remain seated at one of these tables until the person that you have the appointment with comes out and gets you or tells you it's time to come into their office. There will be no hanging around in the main office. There will be no hanging around in the guidance office. There will be no hanging around anywhere else. Everyone has to be somewhere the entire time that we are in the building, once again, to maintain health and safety for everyone. One of the major changes we've had to make due to state guidance over COVID restrictions is the creation of what's called a COVID safety room. This is a room where students who are presenting as symptomatic of COVID, they may or may not have it, but if they are presenting as symptomatic, there has to be a room adjacent to the nurse's office where they can be held until they can be picked up by a parent or guardian. What we have done is we have retrofitted Mr. Messina's office, our assistant principal's office, into the COVID safety room. The nurse has direct access to that room, but the good thing is that other students who need to access the nurse can do so through that door down there on the other side of the water fountain, and we can have our normal foot traffic to the nurse on that side. And then those students who are presenting as symptomatic of COVID, they will be in this room and then will be dismissed right out the front door of the school when the time comes to pick them up. Probably one of the most dramatic changes in our school is what we've had to do to our cafeteria in order to meet the COVID guidelines that the state has put out. So one of the things that we've had to do is we've had to take all of the cafeteria tables that we know and we're used to and replace them with student desks. All student desks are spaced 6 feet apart, front to back, side to side. If you follow me this way a little bit, you'll notice that we can fit about 54 students into this cafeteria. That means that at lunchtime, some of our students will be in here, some of our students will also be eating in the auditorium. If you end up in this cafeteria, it's because you have class in a certain part of the building. Same thing to be said on the auditorium side of things. So the other important thing is whatever seat that you end up in for lunch is going to be your assigned seat for the foreseeable future. We have to do that for contact tracing purposes. That's probably going to come as a shock to many of our students, but it's important that we do that. If you follow me a little bit further, you're going to notice how our cafeteria is set up so that it's socially distanced. And then down on the other far side, you're going to notice a chalkboard and a projector along with a smart board. Here's the catch. We have classrooms that hold somewhere between 12 and 15 students, depending on the size of the classroom. Once again, that's at 6 feet of social distancing. We have cohorts, however, that do exceed 15 students. So cohorts that exceed 15 students will end up probably having class in the cafeteria down on the far side. Fortunately, we do not have a problem that nothing interferes with our lunch block, but in our non-lunch block periods, there are classes that will be conducted for certain cohorts down on that end of the cafeteria. We're going to take a moment to show you one of our classrooms. We have many classrooms here at Wahconah, but this is just one example of how we've situated a classroom to be socially distanced. So if you can come in here real quick. One of the things that you're going to notice behind me is that there are 12 chair desk combos in this particular classroom. This classroom holds 12 students, maximum at 6 feet of social distancing. We've done a lot of figuring to make sure that we can fit them in here. There are some classrooms that hold 13, 14, and even 15 students at 6 feet of social distancing, but this room happens to be one that can only hold 12. Now it's important to understand what's going to happen. If this room has a cohort that is 13 or higher, we are going to relocate that cohort, and this particular teacher's class to a different classroom that is bigger and can hold more students, more than 12. That is going to be a common occurrence here. Just because the teacher's classroom number is on your schedule, it does not mean you are going to have class in their room. It's highly probable that you are going to be moving to other spaces in the building. We are going to have biology classes in math classrooms. We're going to have English classes in science classrooms. And it's all about making sure that we can accommodate the size of the cohort. Another thing you'll notice in this particular classroom is every classroom is going to be equipped with a high-powered air purifier. Every single classroom at Wahconah has one of these. They are mobile. The teacher can plug it in, and there are several settings for fan settings that you can use to purify the air. So once we get into those colder months and the windows start to close, the air purifiers are going to be on for the safety of students and staff.
For our transition time between classes, we've organized and arranged for staggered releases for classes throughout the building. But there are a few key things that students have to remember when they are transitioning to the next class. The first thing is to always have your mask on. The second thing is to always maintain your social distancing. The third thing is to always remain and walk on the right-hand side of the hallway. So we can have traffic going in opposite directions, but both staying on the right-hand side. One of the key things to remember is that between classes during transition time, you will not be allowed to stop at bathrooms, the nurse, guidance counselors. You may go to those places, but you have to go to your class and sign out to go see those people or attend those certain locations.
Hey everybody, so here at Wahconah, we're gonna have to take a time each and every period to engage in what's called a mask break. These things are scheduled, they're coordinated in different parts of the building. Different classrooms are gonna have set times where you get a 5-minute mask break. Also during that time is your ability to have a water break. So you bring your water with you wherever you go. So if you wanna follow me out to the courtyard. Each classroom in the building is going to have a designated spot and a designated time for their mask breaks. Whenever possible, these mask breaks are going to occur outside, sprinkled throughout the building. This courtyard is an example of one of the places where a mask break will occur. Mask breaks will take place for 5 minutes. Again, they're coordinated in every room. It's an important part to take your mask off and stay that 6 feet of distance that we need. Your teacher will be doing the same thing. So to repeat, you get 1 mask break each and every period. We're going to take advantage of those mask breaks. At no other time throughout the school day are you allowed to take your masks off. That's in the halls, in the bathrooms, except for when you're physically eating lunch or you're taking a mask break. Some of the mask break locations will also have carports located around the building. So whenever possible, we will be outside for mask breaks. When we cannot be outside for mask breaks, we have a plan, again, a socially distanced plan to sprinkle classes throughout the building in designated spots so that mask breaks can occur every day regardless of the weather.
We hope you found the information in this video about transitioning during a hybrid model at Wahconah to be helpful. The next thing we're going to start talking to you about is a feature called eHall Pass. It's important to remember that in this age of COVID, everyone has to be somewhere due to contact tracing purposes. So what we're going to do is have an online software system where students can sign out of class and make appointments and be where they need to be, including going to the bathroom, to see the nurse, and to see a guidance counselor. So that's going to be a feature of our next video. See you soon.